Hello, hello, Sisters Unbothered. Welcome back to another powerful episode. Thank you so much for returning if you are a return listener, and thank you so much if you are a new listener and you are giving me the opportunity to earn your trust. I so appreciate you. I am your coach, Nikki Cates, and today this episode is going to be one of the first of our current Unmask series, where we are choosing to reclaim presence over performance. We are choosing to redefine power through our personal truths. I am a lover of liberation theology. I am a lover of women showing up liberated and free in this world, free to be themselves, free to just be, y'all. Who thought just being was something that was hard to do? But in our society, it is. And today we're going to be speaking with a special guest who's going to be sharing her journey, her healing journey, away from masking her pain to walking in it and finding peace and joy. So let's go ahead and let's jump right in. All right, Sisters Unbothered, here we go. I am joined by a special guest today, and I'm so excited. You may have seen her on our most recent group coaching session. Her name is Char Johnson, and she is a certified therapeutic art coach and licensed insurance agent. After losing her son, she found healing through plant therapy and creative expression. Through her Planted in Peace workshops, she holds space for women like us to process grief, find peace, and express themselves through art and nature. You can get in touch with her and find out more about her at charjohnson.com. Thank you so much, Char, for joining us today on Sisters Unbothered and being a part of this Unmasked series. How are you?
I am doing well. Thank you for having me, and hello, sisters.
And Char, tell me about yourself. What would you like the ladies to know about you besides all of the fantastic things you're already doing to recover from what you've already had to work through?
What I'm doing currently is I'm working on the Planted in Peace workshops, which was generated after losing my son in 2017, which, as you know, was a horrific and tragic event for me and my family. And it's been a long journey of healing and pretty much getting my life back together. It will never be the same. And that was part of the healing that I had to realize, that the life that I had before he passed is now a totally different life. One thing with grief is that we not only lose our person, we lose our sense of self. We lose ourselves in the things that we used to do. A lot of things I used to do, I'm just not even interested anymore. I'm just more focused on healing and helping other women heal through grief in a peaceful manner, and knowing that grief is messy and grief is never ending, because we're never going to stop loving our loved one.
That's so good. And as you're speaking, I'm thinking about you mentioned grief, and that's really where you focus your ministry to others. And I'm just thinking about grief as a mask that people wear. Because it can either be all consuming, or it can be one of those things where people try to ignore it and act like it's not there. And so then they're masking their own truth from themselves, thinking they're masking it from others. And I just think that speaks so much to what we're talking about with this Unmasked series. So I would love for you to really use that concept as we're answering some of these questions to understand your journey and how you have come through this process, because I don't know what that feels like to have lost a child. Maybe some of you sisters that are listening have, or a spouse or significant other or a very close friend. I don't think any of those even come close to losing a child. I would imagine it's like losing an actual part of you. Would you say that that's pretty accurate, Char?
Oh, it is definitely accurate. And it's like you're losing almost your whole self.
Mm.
When he first passed away, I just became a total recluse. I wouldn't leave the house. I wouldn't and entertain people. I didn't want people over. I just hid. I literally hid in the bedroom. I would sleep for 12, 13 hours and just lay there a lot of times, just laying, just feeling like, what is going on? I remember one night I laid there with one of his shoes, like in the bed, crying, holding on to his shoe because I wanted to be just something. I just wanted some part of him to be with me. And the thing with unmasking and becoming, a whole individual at some point is saying, okay, I need help. I need assistance, but you also have to let people know that you need help. My husband didn't even know I was in a bed holding on to his shoe until, years later, I told him about it. He was like, well, why were you doing that? I just wanted to be part of my son. I just wanted to feel his presence. And at the time, that's what I had.
Wow, I mean, just having the image of that in my mind just brings so much sadness to my heart. I can't even imagine. I've had situations where, not often, but certain things happen to my daughters that I feel like a piece of me has been snatched out because I couldn't be there to stop that from happening to them. But in your situation, what you're looking at is that a total loss because you couldn't stop what was happening, you know? That is that is an ultimate mask to have to wear and to work out from under. I can only imagine, how long do you think it took you to be able to not only come to terms with the mask, but beginning to remove it, become comfortable without it?
Um, Honestly, till really, it took me from just say 2017 to 2020. And I know we say, COVID happened, but COVID might have been the best thing to happen for me personally because it gave me time to reflect. It gave me time to just sit still and find something else to do. Like we were all looking for things to do. We were tired of the Zoom calls and the Zoom parties. So I needed something to do. And I've always been a plant person, but I just started joining different plant groups and going out buying different plants and learning how to care for them and just becoming one with nature. And I think that made me really say, okay, this is very therapeutic. This is part of my healing journey. This is part of me coming to terms and taking that mask off and saying, hey, I am a grieving mother. And this did happen to me. For so many years, it was just really hard for me to even say that he passed away or even how he passed away. When someone would ask me, like, what happened, I would just say it was an accident and move on to the next question because I really didn't want to go into detail of what happened and how things happened the way that they happened.
Yeah, the way that you're describing that, and then what came to mind is you found something therapeutic in caring for the plants, kind of like people that become cat ladies. It's like you were able to take that love and that nurturing and turn it into a different direction, even just as a distraction. Do you think maybe that might have had something to do with it, is being able to redirect that into a different direction?
Oh, most definitely. And I actually did become the plant lady. Everybody, everybody started knowing me as the plant lady. With my friends and family, I would post about different plants and tell them how to care for the plants and things. But it did help me unmask that need to care for something because it was just me and my husband. So we didn't have any small kids at the house. The grandkids weren't there. So it was just me caring for the plants. And it was my need to care for them. And I didn't realize how much I needed that connection to something that I loved doing.
Yeah, I know when I first met you, you were definitely the plant lady. Uh, Sisters, she told us she had like 300 plants in her house. And I was like, how? How is this possible, lady?
It worked. My husband wasn't that happy about it, but it worked.
And just so you all know, I believe, Char, you've actually, taken a more minimalist approach to plants now, you don't have as many?
I do not have 300. I'm at about maybe 80. And now that I'm doing the workshops, I'm helping other women, and I'm finding that I don't need to do it. Before I needed every plant. I needed a new plant. It was like therapy. Some people were shopping for, would shop for shoes for therapy. I would shop for plants. In any kind of plant, I would have two or three of the same plant. Just the thought of just going out purchasing that plant, it was just a need. And once we moved to a new location and I couldn't take all of them with me, then it became, you know what? I don't need all of this. This is not anything that I need. So I really had to let a lot of them go, which was kind of like I was letting some of my family members go. But because they were just very close to me. But I was sad in the beginning, but then once I saw that I was giving them to people that were also in need, they were also looking for something. It kind of felt good to me, giving them away to someone that I knew would take care of them and that needed them. So when I realized I didn't need it, that was a big aha moment, because it was like, I don't need this. I don't have to have it to survive. I just wanted it. I no longer need it. I don't need that comfort anymore. I feel like I'm getting better. I'm talking more to a therapist. I'm talking to friends. I'm talking to family, and kind of stay, strayed away from talking to the plants more, because I would talk to the plants more than I would talk to family.
So it sounds like it kinda segues us into the next section that we were gonna talk about. So it sounds like to me what you came across was this moment where you realized it was no longer serving you in the same way.
Exactly. It wasn't. And I didn't have that feeling before. You just have a feeling. Like before, I had a feeling like I need these things. I can't let them go. People would come in and touch them, like, no, don't touch, don't do this. So I didn't need them. Once I had that aha moment of, I am okay and I am going to be okay. It was easy for me to let them go.
Okay, okay. So then it sounds almost like when I'm hearing you say that, almost like you begin to be consumed with the plants like you were consumed with your children at one point, like all of us as mothers have been at some point. Then you became consumed with the plants. And it's reminding me of this concept of moderation, how we tend to get imbalanced and we consume ourselves into one person or thing or, you know what I mean? Like one aspect of our lives instead of looking at it from a holistic perspective. And I love the fact that you were able to recognize that and you didn't, it wasn't like 20 years later when it's just you in a house with like 400 plants and a dog, you know what I mean?
Well, I think if we didn't move, I probably would have got up to 400. It was getting there. You should have seen the U-Haul truck. We came with 200 in the U-Haul truck. But as we started unpacking and I started getting the house together, it really just hit me like, I don't need all of this. So then once we got here, I met up with groups of people and, different people online and just gave a lot of them away. So now I'm just down to the 80 or 90, which is manageable.
Mm.
Um, because taking care of 300 plants is a lot. I was spending a lot of time, maybe 4 to 6 hours every Saturday between watering and cleaning. And then I realized I could really use this time doing something else. And
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? It's funny you say that because I have way less than that. And I struggle to make the time to actually care for them the way that they should. So 80 or 90 is still a pretty good bit of time required for care and upkeep, I'm sure.
it is, but they're spread out, so it doesn't seem like a lot. And I am in the process of getting rid of some of them, but I don't want them to hear me say that. But I am in the process of getting rid of some more, just to make more space for some other things that I want to do, some other projects that I want to start on. But definitely, they definitely help. They're definitely part of my healing, part of my therapy. It definitely helped me to nurture, to get rid of some of that rage and anger that I had, because that also comes along with grief. Um, and some of the guilt, you know?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Wow. See, I hadn't even thought about the guilt aspect of it, but it makes perfect sense. So, what do you think would have been? Can you pin it down to a moment where you can remember where you either had a breakdown or a breakthrough, where you just came to a place of reckoning that I don't want to be this person anymore. I don't want to be in this space anymore. This has to go.
I had several.
It's a
Actually,
process.
actually several. Um, but I think the main moment I had was when we were in Orlando, and I usually would get up and go for a walk every single day. And I would say my affirmations, and that I am loved, and different things like that. But one day I was on my walk and I was saying the affirmations, but I didn't feel it. You know, I didn't feel it. And then it was just, I just had to figure out, like, what is really going on with me. I know it's the grief and I know it's the sadness, but there has to be more to what I'm doing. I need to do something else to overcome this. And just on that walk, I sat by a bench. I sat on a bench by this lake, and I just sat there and cried and was like, I don't want to be sad. And, I don't want, and I kept saying, I don't want to grieve anymore. And that's some things that we do tend to say, I don't want to grieve anymore. But I had to realize that I was going to grieve forever. I was, and like I said, you're going to grieve forever because you're never going to stop loving your person. And I realized, well, if I'm going to grieve forever, I need to find a way to grieve in a manner that's peaceful, where I'm not harming myself, because I used to drink a lot. I was a overeater. I would eat all the wrong foods. I would drink a lot, and I did a lot of self-harming. And I said, you know what? If something happens to me, my son would really be upset. And he would say, Mom, this is not you. And there's times I would hear him hear him in my head saying, Mom, this isn't you. This isn't the mom I know. The mom I know doesn't drink like this, doesn't not care about herself. And I had to tell myself, if something does happen to me, I don't want my son to feel like he's the blame. Even though he's transitioned, I know that I have a strong connection with him, and I can hear him sometimes and see him in my dreams, and we talk. And I know that I was not making him proud. And I had to get myself together and be the mom that he knew, because he always told me that he was proud of me.
That is so precious. And, I can see how that would be a driving factor to say, okay, this is not what he wants for me. So that definitely can lead you to a place of breakthrough. And I just want to commend you, because I don't think many of us realize that grieving is not just a short-term thing, but something that's long-term. And that is a powerful, powerful breakthrough for you, to know that there's a different way to grieve that still honors the loss, but allows you to continue to live your life. That is powerful. So, Char, why don't you tell us, now that we're talking about your grief journey and how you've found the motivation on the inside of yourself in order to be able to take this journey and turn it into a healthier one. Can we talk about the emotional perspective of that for a minute before we go into how you're turning this into your life's purpose and how you're wanting to help others along the same journey? But can we talk about the emotions for a moment? I know you mentioned grief several times. What does grief entail as far as you're concerned, emotionally speaking?
Oh, I love that question. Initially, because well, let's go back to grief is in stages, right? And they always say steps, 12 steps, or whatever it is. That's baloney, because you don't go from one step to another step to the next step. There's times when I read books about grief, and I'm like, okay, I should be on this step, but why am I back at square one? There are days when I go back to the day we received that phone call. And then there are days where I'm like, okay, let's get this business going. Let's do the things that we need to do. But initially, grief was, um, I'm going to be honest here. I didn't want to be around. It was that deep, and I was in that deep of a hole and that darkness that I did not want to be here. I didn't want to be here for my husband, my daughter, my grandkids, nobody. I just felt that it would be better for me not to be here. And that's how deep it was. And you get that emotion of, why am I even here if my child isn't here? Because you have such a connection with your child. You carried them, you birthed them, you watched them do all the things, and now they're not here. So that part initially was just devastating. I just did not want to be here. And then when it came to the moment years later where I decided, okay, my life is worth living, then it became a different emotion. But let's go back to back to the initial grief. And one thing what I struggle with personally was finding joy. It was so hard for me to find joy in anything, because my son passed away in February. My first granddaughter was born less than 4 weeks after he passed away. So that emotion of having a new grandchild, I couldn't even be happy. And I know that, there are things that, maybe I didn't do for my daughter that she wanted me to do because it was her first daughter and her first child. And I just I couldn't muster up that strength to be excited, for the new grandchild. And also I thought that, how can I be happy about something if I'm supposed to be sad? You know what I mean? Like, this is a grieving moment. How can I appreciate this joyous moment when I'm supposed to be grieving?
That's so good.
Yeah. And sometimes you feel like people are looking at you like, oh, look at her. She's smiling. So she's not grieving hard enough. And I felt that guilt. I'm not grieving hard enough. I'm not acting the way things, I'm not acting the way people expect me to act. I'm not doing all the things. She looks happy. If I went out, with my husband and we took a picture and we might have been smiling in the picture, I would look back on that picture as like, I'm looking too happy. I don't like the picture. Let's not post it. So it was just, it's an array of emotions that come to you all at once. And that's why you get so depressed, because you don't know how to handle everything at one time. You've never experienced all of these things at one time: grief, depression, anxiety. What's going to happen to my life next? What's going to happen to this person? And then you just become consumed with everything bad, because that's how you feel like you're supposed to be. You're supposed to be in this bad space. So it's just so many different emotions. Even now, to this day, I was at the doctor's appointment today and I came across some pictures of him. And I was in a very good mood when I went to the doctor's appointment. And I came across pictures of him on Facebook memories. I'd look at that every day just to see, what I did around this time years ago. And his picture came up. We had just did his high school graduation party. And just seeing that picture of him standing next to my husband and my daughter, and it just hit me that I don't have that family dynamic anymore. And I'm never going to have it. I'm never going to experience his wedding. I'm never going to experience even seeing him attending his son's high school graduation or his son's wedding. So there's a lot of things that it brings up a lot of emotions, a sense of loss, a sense of, you just don't know what to do or how to even do it.
Right. And if you were to expand what you've already pointed out, I think I envision like abandonment, maybe. a sense of abandonment, maybe senses of regret about, previous situations. I never, Shar, thought about the perspective of what people expect, how people expect you to grieve. That is so disheartening. And that's a lesson for us, my sisters, to learn from this conversation is how to interact with people that are grieving. If we don't fully understand what they're going through, do not put our expectations on them. Sure, you're already trying to figure out how to move in this new norm for you. And now you're worried about if people think you're smiling too much or if you're sad enough about the loss of your child. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I've never thought about it from that perspective.
Yeah. And there's another perspective. There's also those that um, don't even want to come around because they don't know how to interact with you. They don't know what to say. So they stay away from you. Me and my husband always say that we became pariahs once he passed away. That we had friends that would generally come over. We had parties at our house all the time. And then all of a sudden there's no one. It's like, okay, what happened? What happened to the people saying they were going to be there? So we say we just became pariahs. And when we talk to other couples or other parents that have lost their children, they will tell you the same thing or a similar story. Yeah, we became pariahs when our child passed. No one called, no one came by. It's like they think your sadness is going to rub off on them.
Oh, I hate when you say it like that. I will say that in my personal experience, um, it is very difficult to mask your uncertainty about how to interact with someone when you can't truly understand what they're going through. Um, Another very close friend of mine, she lost her mother when we were still young, like teenagers, like early 20s ish. And when she called to tell me, I got my mama, my grandmama, like I haven't had those losses. I didn't know how to respond to that except
Mhm.
for I'm sorry. And then you feel stupid for saying I'm sorry. You know what I mean? Because it's like, that's not enough.
And it's not your fault.
Yeah, I agree. But again, because we're all in a state where we're all dealing with how to show up in this world, and most of us don't do that authentically. How in the world do we grapple with how to show up for someone that's struggling like that? You know what I mean? Do you put on a fake smile and try to make them laugh and say, I know you're going through this, but, you know, let's just shield you from it for a little while. You know what I mean? Or something like that.
No.
Or do you want me to sit in it with you? Do you want me to cry with you even if I can't fully understand what you're feeling?
Yeah. The best thing, because even when I come across people that's experiencing a loss, I'm sometimes at a loss for words as well. But if you can, the best thing, if you can, just go to that person. Because I tell you, if you text that person and they'll tell you, oh, I'm doing fine. As soon as they put that phone down, they're thinking maybe not even being here anymore. Maybe I need to just go and do something to myself. But if you can, show up at that person's door, knock on their door. I am here. You don't have to say anything. I am here. I'll come wash some dishes for you. I'll help cook a meal. I'll bring you some groceries, or we can just sit here and watch a movie. There's nothing you really can actually say to that person that will make them feel better. And please do not say the Lord needed another angel, because that is the worst thing you can tell a grieving parent. Because guess what? If he didn't take yours, then why did he take mine?
Mm, 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 mm. There's so many ways we could go with that right now.
Because
I do want,
I can't even count the amount of times I've heard that silly thing. The Lord
yeah.
need another angel. The Lord, God's not going to put something on you that you can't get through. Well, He didn't put this on you. He put this on me, and I'm already struggling with something. I don't need this.
Mhm, mhm, mhm. But I love that you described what that actually looks like to show up, and that can be for anybody. For example, when I am in some of my lowest depressive states, people may not even know that I'm there. And just sometimes a phone call, I'm checking on you. I love you. From the randomness of person makes a difference,
Mm-hmm.
right? Someone that says, okay, I just want to sit and chat. I don't want anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really have those people in my life either where they just come and say, let's just watch something. But sometimes that does make a difference. You're not requiring me to pull off this facade. You're not requiring me to put one on either. You know what I mean? You're just allowing me to just be. And I think what we're talking about this week with the unmasking, I think that's super powerful for us to begin to normalize and feel comfortable in just being. I know in our friendship, that is something that in our grown womanness at this point in our lives, I think that we've started to I think we've always been working on this journey, Char, of allowing each other to be whatever that may be in that moment. If you're depressed, if you're sad, if you're upset, if you don't feel like being bothered, whatever that might be, I think from a sisterhood perspective, allowing each other to just be in that moment and accepting that person instead of requiring them to mask up. I think that makes a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. You are absolutely right about that. Just be, just like you said, send a text or, stop by if you can, or actually call the person because they will never call you. When you say, oh, call me if you need anything, that person will never call. They will never reach out. And that was one of the things I did with my, during the beginning. People would say, oh, give me a call if you need anything. I didn't call anybody. But now, unmasking and telling people, yeah, I'm not doing good today. I'm in a slump, I'm in a lull, or, I just need some encouraging words. I'm not afraid to reach out anymore and ask for help. I'm not afraid to tell people, no, I don't feel like doing anything right now. No, I am not in a good mood and I will not be a great help for whatever you need at the moment.
See, look at that, y'all. No period.
No.
No guilt, no shame.
And
Yes.
you can give a no without an explanation. No, just no.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I am so proud of you. Just as your friend, I am proud of you.
We
So
kind of live.
I am excited to see how you're turning this into Planted in Peace. That's what I want us to talk about now, is how you're taking this journey, you're unmasking, you're coming to your place of healing and new way of living and being. How are you turning that into Planted in Peace? And then talk about your certified art therapeutic. I'm saying it wrong, y'all. Art therapeutic certification. Explain that
Certified,
as well.
certified therapeutic art coach. So it's funny that I got this certification almost 2 years ago. And it was something I always just was interested in, especially with the healing. I've always been into, art and painting and abstract art. And when I was younger, I always wanted to be an art teacher. I had this art teacher. Her name was Mrs. Wright. She was just beautiful. She wore these long, flowy gowns, and she was just so kind and gentle. And she was a Black woman, and she was one of the very few Black teachers that I had. So I just remember her and just her presence and her now we would say what her aura, her vibe, her energy. She was just very calming and peaceful. So I got the therapeutic art certification about 2 years ago. I sat on it and I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I don't know, were we going to make mandalas all day? I don't know. I don't know how to approach this. But it just hit me. You like plants, you like art, and those are the two things that you've been doing personally to heal. I color. I've tried to get you and I on different coloring sessions. I color. Me and my husband, we color. When the grandkids come over, we color all the time. We do different art projects. And I just wanted to find a way to include the plants with that also. as far as the plant therapy. So combining the two things just made total sense for me. Like, okay, we can take the plants, teach people about the plants, teach how nurturing and caring for the plants also is a way of us nurturing and caring for ourselves. So during the sessions, I asked different questions, see if anyone has experienced any type of grief. And when we're saying grief, we're not just saying losing a loved one. We're talking about losing anything that you've lost, and it had a profound impact on your life.
Including yourself, ladies.
Including yourself.
Ourselves, yes.
Including yourself. When I was younger, I lost myself and my kids and my family. And then as everybody moved out, it was hard for me to define myself. So that's another podcast. But just the workshops are about expressing that grief, expressing that you can express your anger, your joy, your resentment, your rage, but also knowing that you can express those things peacefully. And that's what I want people to know, that if you're grieving anything, you can grieve peacefully and calmly. You don't have to cry all the time. You don't have to do the devastating things, the self-harm. You can actually just get a pencil. Just start drawing. Just start doodling. Just start journaling. Just start, writing a note to yourself. Write a note to your loved one. If you have any plants, just nurture those plants. Care for your plants. The whole process of watering and cleaning the plants, to me, is very therapeutic. It's very healing, because I'm actually touching that plant. I'm actually inspecting it. It's giving me energy, and I'm putting my energy into it. I tell these plants, I'm giving you literally my blood, sweat, and tears in this house. and they respond. There was a couple times I had went through a deep depression. The last one I went through was maybe last year. I went through a really deep depression, and I didn't care for these plants maybe for a month. No water, nothing. And they were just looking so sad. And I'll tell my husband, if you want, you can water them. He's like, no, they waiting for you. So once they started, dying, I was like, okay, this is not fair, because they did not ask to be here. I brought them here, and they are here, and they are here to help me. So I need to get out of this funk and start back taking care of them. And as soon as I started watering and repotting and getting my hands in that dirt, that depression started going away. So it is extremely therapeutic. Just by them being in the house. The air quality is different. People come in my house, they're like, wow, the air is so clean in here. These plants are literally cleaning the air, cleaning the energy, cleaning me, really helping me. They help my husband. He has plants in his office now.
I'm curious, as you're talking about that, I'm thinking about how it would be easy to even mask in that situation, that mask of like perfection, and it has to be done right, and I got to do it this way. And what if somebody comes over and they see that my plants don't look the way they should, like all of those things that it can still do.
Yes, because when I went through my obsessive plant moment, I was I had a little touch of OCD. Now, I told you the other day, now it's called NGD, not getting done. But I did, I did have a touch of OCD where if I knew someone was coming over, I'm giving the plants a pep talk, like literally, okay, guys, we got people coming over. You got to look your best. Let me clean you up real quick. Let me remove some. Yes, let me remove some dead leaves. And I was very obsessed. Like, I didn't want them touching each other. For whatever reason, I don't know why. I just didn't want them touching each other. And the aesthetic had to be there. They all had to be in a certain color pot or turned a different way, or just presented a specific way. But that was me masking perfectionism. look, I have all these plants and I'm taking care of all of them and they're perfect. No, some of these things be dying. I think I might have unalived more than I had. And
It's
people
hard
don't,
to believe that, y'all.
I am telling you, I got a track record of, because I told you, I go back on my memories. Sometimes I'll see a plant and I'm like, where is this plant at? Oh yeah, it didn't make it.
So where you are now, as you're getting ready to start teaching these workshops, do you think that you've dealt with that, or is it still a gradual process of you like removing the masks in those ways, or do you think like you're still there, but you're actively working to no longer flow in that way so that you're able to help others to do the same?
Right now I'm just I think I'm just naturally flowing with it. You know, I'm not obsessed about it. I'm not obsessed about the aesthetic. I'm more like, it is what it is. The plant is alive. It doesn't matter if the pot doesn't match everything else in the house. You know, um, I'm really in a flow of things, and that's what I want people to know, that just accept. Sometimes we just have to accept the way things are. You know, just let it flow naturally. Let it heal through you naturally. Because when I was obsessed about it, this was something that was supposed to help me, right? But I was so obsessed about it, it started giving me anxiety because it became too much. Oh, they're not perfect. They're not doing this or they're not doing that. Somebody's coming over. They're going to say, "Oh, your plants are dying." Now it's, I'll show you. Yeah, this plant is not doing that great. I didn't tend to it. I had a bout of depression, or it just snuck by me. But guess what? It's okay. We're going to pull a dead leaf off, water it, give it some love, put it back in the sun, and just let it do its thing. And when you do that, they just start blooming and start sprouting new leaves. And I think it's because the energy, just changing the energy and changing the mindset around things.
Absolutely. That's the key right there, y'all. Mindset. And also I'm thinking like from the perspective of um the more that you bounce back faster,
Mm-hmm.
the healthier your healing journey is. So it sounds like for me, for instance, instead of it taking me a month, 4 weeks to realize I was off track or I was in a depression and everything was falling apart around me or something like that, it might take me a week now or
Mm-hmm.
a few days before I realize that I need to get back on track. I feel you on the brown leaves right now. Yep. Full transparency. My plants on the porch are literally dying because I just
Oh my
refuse
gosh.
to go out in the heat and water them, and we're not getting enough rain. And on the inside, I actually had to get to the point where I had to make my daughter water them because I just didn't want to. So I am on my plant journey of I need to heal my babies. So hopefully this conversation will help me to move into that space of doing that. But I am unmasking and saying that I am not
Yes.
mine.
But like I said, you brought them here. They didn't ask to get put on your patio. You put them on the patio.
Okay, like my kids say, well, you birthed me. I didn't ask to be
Right.
born
They,
this for.
you know, they can't go get their own water, sis. You gotta water them plants now. Or
Yeah.
if you're not going to, give them to somebody that will.
My husband keeps saying, you just gonna let them die?
Oh my gosh, that's not right. That's not right at all.
So I'm gonna work on that. I am saying, hold me accountable, Sisters Unbothered. I will work on that. Char, it's such a pleasure talking with you. I'm curious. What would you say would be your legacy for unmasking? Who are you unmasking for? And what do you hope that your story teaches others?
Oh gosh, who am I unmasking for? Well, you know, first and foremost, I am unmasking for myself. I've worn so many masks as far as really since the beginning, as far as I can remember being a child, um, always having this, you know, perfectionist attitude. You know, I was in a gifted and talented program. So my family held me on this higher plateau of, okay, she's smart, she's going to do this, she's going to do that. But that was, I've always been smart, but I was just the smart one, or I was the pretty one, but not the smart one sometimes, But right now, I'm unmasking for me. I'm unmasking for myself because I deserve it. And also I'm unmasking for my grandkids because they deserve it. They don't know the Gigi before my son died.
Mm.
They don't know that person that was full of life, just going out, just doing a lot of things, just fun. They don't know that person. So for the past 8 years, the person they've known is this sad Gigi, Gigi's sad, or Gigi's tired, or, Gigi's crying about something, or Gigi's hiding in the room. So I need to unmask for them because they deserve the best Gigi. They deserve the one who was fun and vivacious and doing things, So I'm unmasking for myself for me to be a better person, and I'm unmasking for them so they can have a fun grandma. I want to be the grandma. They come over. I love Gigi. Gigi's fun. Gigi takes us places. Gigi does this. That's what I want them to remember. I don't want them to remember as, Gigi's always sad, or we don't want to go over Gigi's house because she's sad. So that's who I'm unmasking for.
Mm.
And leaving a legacy for.
And what do you hope that your story will teach others?
I want my story to teach others that it is okay to grieve. There's no time limit. It is okay to find joy even when you're grieving. You can do both. It is okay to find peace within yourself, whatever that looks like. It may not look like much for anyone else, but if you're someone that's going through grief, that it's hard sometimes just getting out of the bed. So the times that you can find peace and joy, just revel in that and really be in tune with that and with those moments. Because in the beginning, you don't have a lot of those moments. You don't have a lot of those happy moments. So anytime you get a moment where you're around friends or family and you're feeling happy and joyful, just embrace it. Just really embrace the moment.
I love that, Char. And hearing you say that, I also hear you saying you can be this or that.
You can.
Like this week's lesson, we're saying you can be strong, but you can also be vulnerable. You don't have to choose one or the other.
Right. You can grieve and you can still find joy in those little moments.
Mm. Thank you. I love that so much. Look, Sisters Unbothered, I hope she's been a blessing to you all, just like she's blessing me with this conversation. She's such a light, y'all. So, Char, before we hop off, I would love for you to share with us anything that you want to leave with the audience in terms of a mantra, a scripture, a quote, an affirmation, anything that really helps to keep you going along your healing journey that you'd want to share with our listeners.
Yes. So I have 2 or 3 that I usually say first thing in the morning, and I'm just going to say them to the audience. Okay. I am abundantly happy, healthy, and wealthy. I trust the divine timing of my growth, even in stillness. Give me the guidance to help me see my path. Give me the clarity to help me know my worth. Grant me an easy day, and if any issues do arise, give me the mental and physical strength to address them with peace and grace.
And how does that typically affect you as you go about your day?
It, especially the last part of give me the physical and mental strength to address any issues, it helps me during the day because when we wake up, we say the affirmations and everything's going fine. Then the afternoon, somebody may call you with an issue, somebody may text you about something. And it just helps me to know that I can go back to that. Okay, I asked for an easy day, but this person is bringing a problem to me, you know? But I can address it head on with strength and with grace and with peace. Every situation doesn't need for me to get aggravated or annoyed, because most times it's not my problem, it's their problem. So if I can address it with peace and grace, I can help them then see the problem and also address it with peace and grace.
Yes, 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 yes. I love it. I love it. I'm snapping for you over here.
Because younger Char would have been like, oh, that, but younger Char was wild. This new Char, this me now, is everything's about peace and grace. If it doesn't bring me peace, then please don't bring it to me.
I love it. I love it. And then I'm thinking too, like, when you said strong, I want to clarify. I don't think you mean strong in the terms of what typically society expects of us as Black women to be strong. What does strong mean to you, real quick?
Well, I asked for physical strength. I was diagnosed with this fibromyalgia last year or so. And a lot of days I don't have the energy. I literally do not have the energy. So I have to ask for physical strength. I have to ask, help me get out of bed. Help me do the things that I need to do on a daily basis. Help me have the strength to water these plants. Help me have the strength to go outside and water my garden. So I do ask for physical strength in that way. And also I ask for mental strength, just help me and guide me and tell me what I need to do to get over this.
Yeah, yeah, I understand that completely. I think sometimes words that seem like everyone understands, I think sometimes, especially now as we're on healing journeys and we're looking to be our better selves, that we have to be clear on exactly what we're saying.
Mhm.
And so when we say strong or strength, I want us to be clear that that doesn't mean that you're a doormat or that you are
No.
easily accessible, boundaryless, like you have no boundaries. You know what I mean? Like we want to make sure that we're encouraging you, sisters, to
Oh,
define strength for yourself.
yeah. Strength for me, since I've been dealing with this illness, literally, the doctor said probably the fact that the past 5 or 6 years, when I'm asking for strength, I am literally asking for strength. I am literally asking for just some energy, some life, something to help me get out this bed. I'm literally asking for the strength for myself. Yeah, not to be a doormat for anyone at all. No way.
Never ever again, huh?
Never. No. No ma'am.
Never again, sisters. All right, Shara, thank you so much. I appreciate you so much for sharing your story with us. I want to take a moment before we head on out of here, and I want to give you an opportunity to let people know how to get in touch with you and to express why they should sign up to be a part of your workshops and your Planted with Peace.
Okay, so you can go on charjohnson.com. You will see the information as far as what plant therapy is, what art therapy is, breathing exercises. On the site, there will also be a link to my YouTube channel, Lo-Fi Lounge 1118. That's my son's birthday. And it's just a calming and serene channel where I generated the visuals for calm and peacefulness, and the songs are just calm and peaceful as well. And you should join the Planet and Peace workshops, or actually host a workshop, because that's what I'm doing right now. I'm showing up. You host it. I bring all the supplies. I bring all the art supplies. I bring the plants. I bring the breathing. I bring the breath work. I bring everything you need to have a event that is peaceful and calming. And we also do a circle where we'll talk if for those that want to open up about any grief that they're experiencing. And it's on charjohnson.com. Right now, the workshops are being held in North and Central Florida.
Okay.
Coming online soon will be some of the coloring workshops.
And y'all just know, sisters, I will be all up in there coloring with her. And I'm going to tell you, I don't think she's been trying that hard to get me on a coloring call, because I would definitely do it. I want to get back to painting. I haven't done that in quite some time. But this right here used to be my paint and sit friend.
Yes. Now I don't sip anymore, so.
Yeah, we sipping tea and sparkling water.
I know, sipping tea.
Yes. But thank you so much, Char. I really appreciate you. You all, please reach out. I love her lo-fi channel. I do listen to it in the background when I'm working. And just everything that she brings. If you follow her on social, she gives you plant advice on how to keep your plants alive. I remember we had a bit of freezing weather in Florida, which, of course, that's not a usual thing. So people were losing their minds. And she was online giving people advice on how to care for their plants during a frost. And it was just the cutest thing ever to think that people were messaging her, what do I do with my plants?
I know. People always send me pictures of their plants. What am I supposed to do with it? Or they send me pictures of plants that I've sent them. Like my uncle, he's a plant daddy. I call him a plant daddy. Mm-hmm. I sent him some plants, and he sent me pictures back 2 weeks ago. Look at the plants. And I mean, these things are beautiful. I'm like, well, I want my plants back.
No takey flaxies.
I love when people send me pictures of the growth and, of their plants doing good, and when they need assistance.
I'm going to have to get on my P's and Q's and start sending you videos so you can tell me how to get mine back on track. I am going to make that a goal of mine in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We can be accountable.
Your whole peaceful plant space on your patio. The peaceful patio.
Well, maybe if I get them out of my office, maybe I'd be more prone. Because right now, when I go in that office, I just don't even pay them any attention. And they're all over. So, all right. Well, I'll work on that. Thank you, my sister.
Thank you. Thank you, sisters, for listening. Thank you all for joining. Thank you, Nikki, for inviting me.
Of course. I love you.
I love you too.
All right. So, Sisters Unbothered, thank you so much for listening to this episode. It was a little something different. I know I had told y'all I was thinking about diving into interviews. And when Char approached me about being willing to do one, I said, you know what? This is my sign to make that dive. So what I'm thinking is, for this series, every month I'm going to have at least one woman come on and talk about their unmasking journey so that you all can get a perspective that's more than my own. And I want you to remember, you are not alone. You are not too much. You are already enough the way you are, girl. We are not trying to fix ourselves. Okay? We just want to heal so that we can elevate. No cape required, sis. No mask necessary. Take this as your permission slip. All right? Well, continue to tune in with the Sisters Unbothered community. The training video was up this week. If you're listening to this on Saturday morning, then you know that we have already done the live session on Thursday evening. After this releases on Saturday morning, we will be having the coaching session at 11:30. That link will be in the Sisters Unbothered Substack. Thank you again. I love you, and I will talk to y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.
You have been listening to Sisters Unbothered, a sacred sanctuary for Black women and women of color who are reclaiming their peace, power, and presence in a world that demands merely our performance. This season, we're journeying through the Unmasked series, a multi-layered experience of personal development training, emotional healing, and group coaching for women ready to take off the masks, step into congruency, and live as their whole, healed, authentic selves. If you are, in fact, ready to go deeper, if you are ready to unlearn and relearn, deconstruct and rebuild within yourself and your life, join us for the live transformation circle sessions on Thursday evenings, transformation coaching calls, which is basically group coaching on Saturday mornings. And if you're ready for personal, tailored strategy and growth, I am currently accepting new one-on-one coaching clients. Click the link in the description and send me a message and schedule a discovery call. You weren't born to live silenced. You weren't created to shrink. You are worthy of rest, reciprocity, and radical love. Sis, this is your season to unmask, unlearn, and unbecome what never belonged to you. Until next time, be encouraged, be empowered, be fulfilled, be unbothered.